Welcome to Horrorland, where nightmares come to life.
I'll tell you to death. I'll tear your skin off her bones.
Karu Marie O'Donna, Loma Milano Carano.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Shiver Shelf, where today we'll be talking about the fourth book in Goosebumps, Say Cheese and Die. There's a piece of the cover. Yeah, I have a damaged cover in the series. Lovely. Hopefully I don't come across more that I don't know about. The phrase in the back of Say Cheese and Die, introducing the camera with a curse. You know, you could make that a little bit more catchy. It was probably catchy when the original book came out. This is a reprint, of course. So what's this story about? There's something wrong with Greg's camera. The people and things in his photos turn out wrecked. And worse. Go eye to eye with this special collector's edition of the eerie classic that has sold nearly 2 million copies worldwide. That really doesn't help explain the story. What the French toast is this? And then there's the cover of this one. The original cover I'll bring up somewhere because it's actually a really memorable cover in the series. But basically what we have in that cover is a bunch of spooky, scary skeletons cooking at a barbecue, which actually does get visualized in this book. But this one, it's alright. I mean, there's a camera, there's a skull face in it, and actually there's a crack in the lens, which leads to a misleading thing. The camera doesn't have a crack or anything around it because in the story later on, it's revealed that the camera can't be destroyed, no matter what you do to it. Now, to the story. Whoops. The story in Say Cheese and Die is actually, it's okay. I'm not gonna lie about it. I mean, there are points where it leaves you on the edge of your seat. Greg and his 4 friends end up going into this old house where they find the camera, and Greg takes a picture of one of his friends. And needless to say, after a little bit, something happens, and Greg looks at the photo, and the photo shows that thing happening before it happened. And one of my gripes with this story is that, because usually they brush it off as, oh, the camera's broken, it's just making those weird things by accident. And all I can think half the time is, no. Broken means it has either negative versions of the picture coming out, there is something glitchy with them, or maybe on the off chance it isn't working. Broken doesn't mean, oh, it's going to add things in that just aren't there. So in other words, I think the main character, Greg, really isn't all that bright. Another thing that kind of puts me off is the fact that this is kind of based on a Twilight Zone episode. To be honest, this story actually holds up by itself, but at the same time it's kind of throwing me off, and I'm like, yeah, that was in Twilight Zone. Don't try to lie to me. The characters are alright. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite things in this story is that most of the time, unlike other Goosebumps stories, usually one character had to deal with a problem. Like, almost through the whole story, Greg has to go through this all by himself. Like, he's the only one that knows what this camera is capable of. So whenever something bad happens because he took a picture of somebody, he usually feels like a growing sense of guilt. And let me tell you, this camera is amazing. I mean, it's terrifying, but amazing all at the same time. However, when we find out how the camera was made, it's flat. I mean, like, it's two-dimensional. Because one of the people who helped create the camera described themselves as, oh, I used to be evil. And then Greg and his friend asked, well, who created the camera? And the guy who helped create it just said, oh, that man was more evil than me! Boom, boom, lightning, thunder. They should have joined my favorite League of Villains.
Every villain is lemons. otherwise known as evil.
But it really builds the mystery for this camera, and it makes us wonder if it can see the future or it just makes bad things happen. And the very last twist at the end is actually kind of terrifying, because it leaves you wondering what's gonna happen next, and that's where it ends. It just ends on a cliffhanger, and it's actually a bit scary. So at the end of the day, I'd have to give Say Cheese and Die maybe a 6. Yes, it is an interesting concept to have a camera that causes bad things to happen, but at the same time, it was from Twilight Zone originally, which R.L. Stine has said he's a big fan of. And yeah, it does show that even though our character doesn't mean to cause harm, he still feels great guilt about it. But at the same time, the guy who created the camera, he's just so flat as a character. It could have been so much better. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Shiver Shelf, and I will see you next time. And food for thought, if you ever want to watch the episode of Say Cheese and Die, Ryan Gosling plays Greg. Yeah, Ryan frickin' Gosling. That is all. Bye!